This is weird and uncomfortable. Okay. Hey, guys. So I'm going to try and keep this as short as I can, partly because I narcissistically believe that what I have to say is important, and partly because this time I'm right. This is an important movie, or it could be, or should be, but nobody saw it, is the point, or at least nobody's talking about it. Not really. But hey, who can really expect a visually stunning think piece on the subject of social change to overshadow the never-ending franchise league's off-season? I mean, the tennis season just opened with the first Grand Slam tournament of the year, and it was like this epic battle between young next-gen talent and the established regime. The women's champ was a soft-spoken 21-year-old Japanese-American named Naomi Osaka. Last year, she beat Serena in the U.S. Open and hoisted her first Grand Slam trophy, and now she has 2 in a row. Yeah, this year promises to be a year of dethronings. But I mean, hey, SportsCenter, isn't Aaron Rodgers dating someone famous? Sorry. I like tennis. Okay, let's talk about the movie. So Drew Goddard is the guy behind 2011's Cabin in the Woods, a movie that most people went and saw because of the attached co-writer of all things. His name's Joss Whedon, and I guess some people have heard of him. But after seeing Bad Times, I really think he was just there for the fan draw, maybe to sprinkle a little Salt Bae spice into the character work and the dialogue. I'm exaggerating, of course. Joss Whedon's a talented writer. But it's hard to argue against Goddard's importance to the style and substance of that film when you consider that the only thing that Cabin had that Bad Times doesn't is an audience and a monster parade, I guess, and Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, shit.
Anyway, it's pretty clear that the primary overlap of those two films is genre subversion. Where Cabin in the Woods leans into the existential terror implied by our ravenous hunger for the trappings of the horror formula, Bad Times at the El Royale seeks to uncover what is behind our love of Tarantino-style pulp. So I want to do this without going full spoiler. It seems reasonable to assume that a lot of people still haven't seen the movie, and it feels kind of exclusionary to make a video about a movie that I love that's geared only specifically to people whose opinions I can validate or maybe influence. I want you to see this movie, and really, you will be rewarded the fresher you go in, so do consider watching it first. You know, I tend not to like review videos that claim to be spoiler-free because, like, any new piece of information is kind of a spoiler. I mean, telling me that the cinematography is too stylized or some actor couldn't handle their American accent or something like that, it's invariably going to affect the way that I watch a movie. And I don't see how that's not a potential spoiler for someone who wouldn't have caught those things or even cared if it hadn't been on the front of their mind going in. So for clarity's sake, mild spoilers ahead, but I am going to be focusing on why I think you should see it as opposed to what you should think of it once you have. So rather than talking about events from the plot, I'm going to be focusing my discussion on 2 stylistic elements and how they are utilized in service of theme.
The El Royale is a bi-state establishment. You have the option to stay in either the great state of California or the great state of Nevada. Warmth and sunshine to the west, or hope and opportunity to the east.
The hotel, or to be clear, the owners of the hotel, literally draw a line between east and west, a concrete division of warmth and sunshine, and hope and opportunity, painted plainly on the floor. A novelty for the hotel, a gimmick, designed specifically to draw attention to itself as opposed to its intentions or implications. The 2 sides of the hotel are framed with equal positivity. You have a great state on one side and a great state on the other. The sales pitch is sharpened and polished to be as convincing as possible that warmth and sunshine are held in just as high esteem as hope and opportunity. No physical barrier presents an obstacle to anyone who wishes to cross that line. One need only take that step, but very little else is implemented in the service of that equality. In fact, there is one very clear difference.
Well, for starters, rooms in California cost $1 more.
California costs $1 more. A separation that's no less novel or arbitrary than the line painted on the floor, and one that's hand-waved away with a roll of the eyes and a chuckle. But the distinction is clear: those who need the dollar and those who don't. As evidenced by not only the hotel having no problem whatsoever letting you know that there is no difference between the rooms, but also that not one single character in the movie chooses to stay on the California side, despite at least 2 of them having very solid reasons for wanting to be as far away as possible from the other guests. The dollar, lowly though it may seem, matters. Enough to make a distinction and successfully group people based on a presumed set of values and standards, offering nothing but that distinction in return. This is a film that does a lot of legwork to ensure that the audience feels connected to and empathetic toward the worldview of a person who, for whatever reason, is subjugated, marginalized, or abused by a system that will take your money with a smile and a wink, dangling warmth and sunshine with the designed expectation that you will settle for hope and opportunity, but only if you're a certain kind of person. The film goes on to make some assertions about right and wrong and good and evil and what they look like in a modern world. And personally, I think it's downright revolutionary. And I'll probably talk about it more when I do decide to make a full spoiler discussion video about the movie. But for now, I'll forego the paint on the floor and instead briefly discuss my hands-down favorite element of Bad Times at the El Royale.
Let's have a listen, shall we?
So if the hotel's unique design can be viewed as a representation of an in-universe oppressive mindset, then the music is the filmmaker's inserted antithesis to that, albeit not all at once. Music is employed in so many different and interesting ways in this movie. First off, it's almost entirely soundtrack, meaning the score is minimal, used only sparingly for cinematic atmosphere in certain scenes. But that is specifically so that there is more room to convey meaning through the use of diegetic songs. These songs are used to ironically tighten the tension screws on a suspenseful scene and to ease tension into a reverent sadness in a later one. Songs are often carefully synchronized to the actions of characters and camera, both diegetically and non-diegetically, a trend which begins in the very first scene of the movie, effectively using this synchronicity to set the tone for the entire experience. Songs are sad, joyous, intense, foreshadowing, and with one clearly indicated exception in the third act, all of a singular style: Motown, a genre whose metatextual thematic relevance is both very widely known and reinforced in this scene starring the character Mr. Gordy. These songs, which were written and performed under conditions being heavily represented by the film's setting and characters, and which also exist in the universe of the movie, are about love, sex, heartbreak, being young, dancing. Dancing? Textually, they are cloyingly simple and superficial. They represent our desire to see the world with the unbridled optimism of the Four Tops, but also the manipulable, saleable nature of that desire, creating a rich and uncomfortable context for most of the movie. The weaponization of our proven and inherent predictability is at the center of the film's conflict and serves as the battleground for those opposing types of people. Like a line painted on the floor. I won't go into how I think the ending brings all of this to a head. Like I said, I want you to see the movie. It's my favorite film of the year. Suffice it to say that I think this movie is optimistic, but it's also not afraid to show optimism as a sometimes sad and isolating frame of mind. Also, it's the most fun I've had watching a movie since, like, God, I don't know, Cabin in the Woods. Yeah, it was pretty good. I watched it with my dad, actually, and at least twice during the movie, I turned to him and out loud said, "That was the coolest movie scene ever." I don't say things like that. I hope you all enjoyed the new format. If you did, leave me a comment. I might continue this as another series on the channel. I'm hoping to become a lot more consistent with my releasing of content, but I'm also kind of learning as I go quite a bit, and I don't want to see the channel suffer too much for that. So I'm thinking I'm going to do a lot more of these smaller projects in between the larger ones. Anyway, thanks for watching. Go see Bad Times at the El Royale, or leave me a comment telling me what you thought if you've already seen it. It's kind of killing me to cut this discussion short of spoilers because I really want to talk about it. So yeah, I would love to engage with you guys if you want to talk about it in the comments. Otherwise, subscribe, share, like, Twitter. What else is there? Is there another one? The bell. Do the bell. Yeah. And bye.